What's something embarrassing you're willing to admit? I was standing in line at Walmart and the guy's dentures in front of me fell out onto the ground. I didn't realize what he dropped, so I bent down to get them and saw it was a full set of teeth. I then decided not to touch them since he has to put them in his mouth. After standing back up, I felt like that was rude and he might think I didn't touch them because they are gross. I changed my mind and bent back down to grab them, but as my hand was like 3 inches away, I thought to myself that he definitely doesn't want me to touch them, so I stood back up. The entire time this guy was standing there watching me bend down and stand up several times. The final time I stood up, he locked eyes. He gave me a weird look, then snatched them aggressively and walked away. I still have no idea if I should have grabbed them or not. It was just embarrassing having him watch me be indecisive about his teeth. I had a tendency to get super obsessive over my crushes growing up. Total lovesick, I will straight up marry you right now obsessive. I went the whole 9 yards. Extravagant love letters, I love yous, you're perfects, angsty writing in my journal, weird photos and music video montages, dreaming and daydreaming, yeah, all the cringy creepy stuff. I was a lonely kid with a lot of feelings and an emotionally abusive home life. I didn't stop until one girl legitimately thought of me as her stalker, in a quasi-endearing way. That's when it hit home for me that my idea of love was wrong, and you have to get to know someone to have a relationship with them. Dude, I grew up in a very similar situation. Your whole view on relationships gets twisted. I remember being sat down by a teacher and told why it was a problem. Definitely the most crushingly embarrassing moment of my childhood. Took years to pull out all the twisted and healthy threads of behavior. Glad you're one of the fellow humans who recognized how messed up it is. I feel like a lot of people don't. Your whole view on relationships gets twisted. Yep. For me, it was a demoralizing lesson to learn. And even then I struggled with it a little in my first real relationship, which is whole other story, and then some. Some people project their unmet needs, desires, and personal problems onto another person who might be in some cases the totally oblivious object of their affection, and put them on a pedestal. Or, it could go the opposite direction, and turn the person you love into a target for abuse, when in reality you are the problem. What most certainly did not help was watching my long ago separated parents pretty much fail in their own marriages and relationships. So I didn't exactly have a great example. Obsession definitely isn't conducive to healthy relations. For me though, it was all rooted in problems at home, and I had to unlearn the negative things I'd picked up as a kid in order to have a better adult life and actual relationships. About a year or so ago, I was standing in line at the grocery store, waiting to pay for my small grouping of items. The man in front of me is elderly, maybe late 80s early 90s. He has finished his transaction and is trying to get his wallet out of his pants to pay. Now, this guy's clothes are about 2 sizes too big for him, so everything is kind of hanging off of him. Because of his advanced age and loose clothing, reaching into his back pocket to retrieve said wallet is proving to be extremely difficult. He seems to lack the strength, dexterity, coordination to both maintain his reach and grab the wallet from the very deep and loose back pocket of his old man pants. This goes on for, without exaggeration, for like 5 solid minutes. Picture a grocery store with lots of people trying to get dinner and whatnot, and everyone is basically on hold while this guy tries to get his wallet out, to no avail. Now, here comes the horror. Old man big pants, without a word to me, points his rear end at me and just looks into my eyes. I realize that he wants me to get his wallet out for him. The realization hits me and I am frozen. There are like 10 people in line behind me all watching this happen, and who want to get home in time for Jeopardy. I start to do nothing, but then realize that this dude is genuinely looking for help. So, I reach into his back pocket to try and retrieve the wallet as quickly as possible. This is when I realize what the problem was. The dude has Costanza wallet X10. It's huge and heavy. I am trying to get a grip on the thing and I cannot get it past the loose fabric of the deep pocket, and more folds of what I realize are his old man floppy A flesh. I swear I tried for like 30 seconds to get the thing, and couldn't. At this point I turn around and see the horror on some people's faces, because to the untrained eye, I am a dude sticking his hand down a poor old man's pants. in a grocery store in broad daylight. It's at this point that I give up and tell the guy, sir, it's all good, your stuff is on me, and cram my card into the machine and pay for his stuff like $12 bucks. NBD. He thanks me and shuffles out of the store while I pay for my stuff and slide off to my new life as a molester of the elderly. I always used to volunteer to help out with first day registration at my middle school. All my friends gave me crap for being a teacher's pet suck up. The real reason I did it was if you volunteered you got to pick your locker rather than having one randomly assigned. And I had a gigantic crush on my English teacher. So both 7th and 8th grade years of middle school I wound up with a locker directly across from his classroom so I could see him every day. And I found the most ridiculous excuses possible to have to go to my locker. I may have also sent him the world's most cringe-inducing anonymous Valentine my 8th grade year. I'm pretty sure he knew it was me, but I didn't care, I was completely smitten. So it was kind of like that episode of The Simpsons where Lisa gets a crush on M.R. Bergstrom. Except it wasn't charming in any way. It was awkward and terrible and a wee bit stalkerish. Not having the chance to apologize to him for being such a effing weirdo is among my biggest regrets in life. Unfortunately he died unexpectedly just after I started high school. And no, I didn't kill him. I could have phrased that better. He had a massive heart attack while at school. Thankfully not while he was teaching. It was unexpected because he was very vocally a vegetarian and very into running. Also, whoever gilded me, I'm glad you enjoyed my cringiness. When I was 13 I wrote a pretty detailed Naruto fanfiction. That wouldn't be so embarrassing except for that fact that the details included me and a character who was 26 playing strip poker, among other things. Here's where I really effed myself over. I then decided to print the story out so I could read it later and make edits. However, I decided to bring it into the bathroom to read while I took a bath and left it in there when I was done. My dad found it and read it, and let's just say he was not happy with the writing content his 13-year-old daughter decided to pick. It was Kakashi, wasn't it? Maybe. Back when Quizilla was still around, the 7 Minutes in Heaven stories were really popular, and I'm pretty sure that the story was one of those weird house party stories with a whole bunch of different characters hanging out. I also just remembered this happened a second time a year later. IDKWTAF was wrong with me. Except this story had me 14F at the time, and Sasori having pretty explicit sex in it. My sister found it and read it with her friend. My freshman year in college I lived in dorms that had community bathrooms, but each room had their own sink. Weird combo, I know. It was such a pain to have to get up in the middle of the night to walk to the bathroom. Anyway, one night I went out with members of my club sports team to the bars and got blindingly drunk. Somehow staggered back to my dorm room. Somehow avoided the questions of our RA and got changed and into bed. Now I forgot to mention that my and my roommate's beds were both elevated off the ground as if they were top bunks, despite being separate from one another. Right before I went to sleep I realized I had to pee. In my drunken stupor I decided it was a better idea to try and kneel on my bed and pee off the side into the sink rather than try and walk to the bathroom. Started peeing into sink, fell backwards drunkenly still peeing into the air. Passed out while peeing straight up into the air like a whale shooting water out of a blowhole, like a pee whale, yeah. Woke up the next morning, realized what had happened. Shamefully ate some cornflakes, then Lysol bombed the room and torched the sheets, mini rug, hamper and everything else that had been violated. TLDR drunkenly came home in college dorm and accidentally gave my room a golden shower. I was on vacation somewhere in Spain. I was religiously working out back then, so I even got a contract for this local gym for this 1 month. Met this girl there, a local, read Spanish. First only small talk, then we went on some dates. First going to the pool with her brothers, later going out alone. I really liked her, and she was sexy, but I didn't dare to talk much. Since my Spanish was poor, I figured we were friends. We were out on a date, playing pool billet after having some arepas, similar to tacos, when suddenly she puts some egg-shaped plastic container into my hand. It looks like one of those containers that contain small prizes you get from those carnival machines. You know, the ones with the claw that you operate, trying to grab a stuffed animal or whatever. If you don't win a real prize, you get a loser's prize. Think like some cheap metal flag pin or something. So we were there playing pool billiard, and she pushes this plastic egg container into my hand. I smile and say something like muchas gracias and pocket the egg, preparing for my next shot. She shakes her head in protest. She gestures at my pocket. She also says something a lot in Spanish. Mostly, I understand no. I'm lost. Finally, she loses her patience, facepalms and shoves her hand down my pocket where I keep my eggs, pulls out the plastic one, opens it. It contains a condom. I finally understand. I go meet Red. I'm such an idiot.